to the latest episode of Mystery Unsolved. Happy Friday. It is once again the season finale, the latest season finale of Mystery Unsolved. If you were to ask me how many seasons of these I've actually done, I can't tell you. I've lost count. I think we're up to 7 or 8. I think I've done that many. We have a little bit of a special, special case tonight. In the past, I've done Bigfoot. I believe I've done the Chupacabra. So tonight, we're going to go back to our cryptids, and tonight's Mystery Unsolved case is on the infamous Loch Ness Monster. That's right. Really? We're 8 seasons in, and you're just now doing the Loch Ness Monster? Well, damn it. I just realized that, I hadn't, so we're doing it. Do be advised, I am live on Facebook and YouTube here, and I am on Instagram live on here, so I will do my best to go vice versa. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mystery Unsolved, the Loch Ness Monster. Alright. Affectionately known as Nessie, is a mythical creature in Scottish folklore that is said to inhabit Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. The Scottish Highlands! It is often described as large, long-necked, and with one or more humps protruding from the water. Popular interest and belief in the creature was varied since it was brought to worldwide attention in 1933. Evidence of its existence is anecdotal, with a number of disputed photographs and sonar readings. The first thing that we're going to make sure 100% is in fact solved, as of recently, I even believe, the infamous photo. You've seen it, just like you've seen the infamous video of Bigfoot. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. I'm going to try to bring the screen up so you can see it. If you can't, I'm sure you'll picture it in your head. See, yeah. Guess what? That photo, that infamous photo of Loch Ness that you know of, the one I just showed you, it's fake. It's a hoax. It's not real. The surgeon's photograph of 1934, now known to have been a hoax. So I have a little knowledge about this. I'm sure I'll get to it in here, but let me drop some knowledge on you before I get into the nitty-gritty. That photo is zoomed in like insanely. We're talking like thousands of pixels zoomed in. The actual photo was taken from a really far distance, and that's not even of a neck. I think that's actually of a tail of another creature. So the rest of the creature is actually in the water, face down, and I think that's actually its tail. Yeah. Crazy, right? The scientific community explains alleged sightings of the Loch Ness Monster as hoaxes, wishful thinking, and the misidentification of mundane objects. The pseudoscience and subculture of cryptozoology has placed particular emphasis on the creature. So, one of the I'm not sure if I've mentioned this, but I actually recently just got certified in UFO studies, and it was a course that I took that was free, that I actually took on this website called Universal Class, recommended to me by my local library. And one of the next courses I want to take is on cryptozoology. And one of the cases is, you guessed it, on the Loch Ness Monster. There's also one on Bigfoot and Jersey Devil. So, and I actually did when I say I just watched something on Loch Ness Monster, we're talking Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, fresh as a daisy when it comes to knowledge. All right, let's talk about the origin of the name. How did that come to be? In August 1933, the Courier published the account of George Spicer's alleged sighting. Public interest skyrocketed, with countless letters being sent in detailing different sightings, describing a monster fish, sea serpent, or dragon, with the final name ultimately settling on Loch Ness Monster. Since the 1940s, the creature has been affectionately called Nessie. Hold on. I'm saying sightings, but these sightings are like insane. Okay. There's a lot of sightings before 33. So I'll try to be as quick as possible. St. Columba, 565. The earliest report of a monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the life of St. Columba by Adoman, written in the 7th century AD. According to Adoman, writing about a century after the events described, Irish monk, an iron monk, Irish monk St. Columba was staying in the land of Picts with his companions when he encountered local residents burying a man by the river Ness. They explained that the man was swimming in the river when he was attacked by a water beast that mauled him and dragged him underwater despite their attempts to rescue him by boat. Columbus sent a follower, Luguin Moku Min, to swim across the river. The beast approached him, but Columba made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further. Do not touch the man. Go back at once." The creature stopped as if it had been pulled back with ropes and fled. And Columba's men and the Picts gave thanks for what they perceived as a miracle. Believers in the monster point to this story set in the river Ness rather than the loch itself as evidence for the creature's existence as early as 6th century. Skeptics question the narrative's reliability, noting the water beast stories were extremely common in medieval hagiographies, and Adoman's tale probably recycles a common motif attached to a local landmark. Ronald Binns considers that this is the most serious of various alleged early sightings of the monster, but all other claimed sightings before 1993 are dubious and not to prove a monster tradition before that date. Well, in that case, then I won't read them. Although these ones are short. Yeah, all these are really short. D. Mackenzie, 1871 or 1872. Maybe I will read them since they're insanely short. D. Mackenzie of Balmain reportedly saw an object resembling a log or an upturned boat wriggling and churning up in the water, moving slowly at first before disappearing at a faster speed. The account was not publicized until 1934, Jesus, when Mackenzie sent his story into a letter to Rupert Gould shortly after popular interest in the monster increased. So he saw a giant log. Come on. Alexander MacDonald, or, if you want to get Scottish, Alexander MacDonald. In 1888, Mason Alexander MacDonald of Aberichan sighted a large stubby-legged animal surfacing from Loch Ness and propelling itself within 50 yards of the shore where MacDonald stood. MacDonald reported his sighting to Loch Ness water bailiff Alex Campbell. And described the creature as looking like a salamander. I can't make a salamander, but you know. Aldie McKay, 1933, the best known article that first attracted a great deal of attention about a creature was published on May 2nd, 1933 in the Inverness Courier about a large beast or whale-like fish. The article by Alex Campbell, water bailiff for the Loch Ness and part-time journalist, discussed a sighting by Adley McKay of an enormous creature with the body of a whale rolling in the water in Loch while she and her husband John were driving on A82 on April 15, 1933. The word monster was reportedly applied for the first time in Campbell's article, although some reports claim that it was coined by editor Evan Barron. The Courier in 2017 published excerpts from the Campbell article, which had been titled "Strange Spectacle in Loch Ness." According to a 2013 article, McKay said that she had yelled, "Stop, the beast," when viewing the spectacle. In the late 80s, a naturalist interviewed Adley McKay, and she admitted to knowing that there had been an oral tradition of a beast in the loch well before her claimed sighting. Alex Campbell's 1933 article also stated that Loch Ness has for generations been credited with being home of a fearsome-looking monster. Sorry, I keep hearing my sink making weird sounds. George Spicer, 1933. Modern interest in the monster was sparked by a sighting on July 22, 1933, when George Spicer and his wife saw a most extraordinary form of animal cross the road in front of their car. They described the creature as having a large body about 4 feet and 25 feet long, 4 feet high, 25 feet long, and a wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk, as long as 10 to 12-foot width of the road. They saw no limbs. It lurched across the road towards the loch 20 yards away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth in its wake. Spicer described it as the nearest approach to a dragon or prehistoric animal that I have ever seen in my life, as having a long neck which moved up and down in the manner of a scenic railway. It had an animal in its mouth and had a body that was fairly big with a high back, but if there were any feet, they must have been on the web kind. As for its tail, I cannot say, as it moved so rapidly, and when we got to the spot, it probably had disappeared into the loch. Though he was first described to the creature, though he was that, though he was the first to describe the creature as a plesiosaurus-like dinosaur, evidence suggested by researchers at Columbia University in 2013 proved his story to be fake. Ah, you're a liar. You're a fake. The university and Daniel Loxton suggested that Spicer's sighting was fictionalized, inspired by a long-necked dinosaur that rises out of a lake in King Kong, a film that was extremely popular in theaters in his home city of London during August of 1933. I don't know why people do that. When Spicer reported the sighting, Lockton and Donald Prothero later cited King Kong as evidently an influence on Loch Ness Monster myth. So people are just like, I saw a monster. On August 4th, 1933, the Courier published a report of Spicer's sighting. This sighting triggered a massive amount of public interest and an upstick in alleged sightings, leading to the solidification of the actual name, Loch Ness Monster. Hugh Gray's photograph taken near Foyers on November 12, 1933, was the first photograph alleged to depict the monster. It was slightly blurred, and it had been noted that if one looks closely, the head of a dog can be seen. Gray had taken his Labrador for a walk that day, and it is suspected that the photograph depicts his dog fetching a stick from the loch. Others have suggested that the photo depicts an otter or a swan. The original negative was lost. However, in 1963, Maurice Burton came into possession of 2 lantern slides, contact positives from the original negative, whatever the hell that means, and when projected onto a screen, they revealed an otter rolling at the surface in characteristic fashion. Oh, that's interesting. It's an otter. Arthur Grant, on January 5th, 1934. Motorcyclist Arthur Grant claimed to have nearly hit the creature while approaching Aberchan at about 1 a.m. on a moonlit night. According to Grant, it had a small head attached to a long neck. The creature saw him and crossed the road back to the loch. Grant, a veterinary student, described it as a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. He said he dismounted and followed it to the loch, but only saw ripples. And it shows a picture. I'll zoom in. Yeah, can't see it now. Damn it. You can see it on Instagram. For some reason you can't see it here. I don't know why. Grant produced a sketch of the creature that was examined by zoologist Maurice Burton. A lot of the same names coming up, isn't it? Who stated it was consistent with the appearance and behavior of an otter. How is You just saw what a plesiosaur looks like. For those that didn't see it on YouTube and Facebook, think of like a brontosaurus, like the long neck, the kind of like a hump. How does an otter look like that? It doesn't. Regarding the long size of the creature reported by Grant, it has been suggested that this was a faulty observation due to the poor light conditions. I'm sorry, but I find that extremely hard to believe. So light constriction means that you saw an otter twice the size of an actual otter? Paleontologist Darren Naish has suggested that Grant may have either seen an otter or a seal and exaggerated his sighting over time. Okay, I've seen otters at my local zoo, and they're very fun and playful. And when they're in the water, they can swim, and they're just like regular things. They swim. They're bendable, but like they're not big by any means. A seal would be more. Even a seal is kind of like a seal and a walrus. They got that weird amorphous body. I would say a seal would be most likely to be seen than an otter. I don't. I don't know. Surgeon's photograph, 1934. This is the photograph. This is the infamous photograph of Loch Ness that we've all seen, that we now know is a hoax. The surgeon's photograph is reportedly the first photo of the creature's head and neck, supposedly taken by Robert Kenneth Wilson, a London gynecologist. Go figure that one out. It was published in the Daily Mail on April 21st, 1934. Wilson's refusal to have his name associated with it led it to being known as the surgeon's photograph. According to Wilson, he was looking. We have his name now, so sucks for him. He was looking at the loch when he saw the monster, grabbed his camera, and snapped 4 photos. Only 2 exposures came out clearly. The first reportedly shows a small head and back, and the second shows a similar head in a diving position. The first photo became well known, and the second attached little publicity because of its blurriness. For 60 years, the photo was considered evidence of the monster's existence, although skeptics dismissed it as driftwood. So I scratched my head to that one. An elephant, an otter, or a bird. Okay. Those are 4 very distinctive, different things. Driftwood and an elephant look nothing alike. Driftwood, an elephant, an otter, and a bird look nothing like each other. I can understand how they might think it was an elephant because it kind of looks like a trunk. When the show that I watched the other day, they said it does kind of sort of depict an elephant trunk. But an otter again, like, it's so odd. Otters are not that big. I mean, I don't think their tails are that big either. Like, it doesn't make sense. And a bird, like, what bird it looks like that? Like a swan, maybe? Like, they did mention a swan. The photo's scale was controversial. It is often shown cropped, making the creature seem large in the ripple-like waves, while the uncropped shot shows the other end of the loch and the monster in the center. The ripples in the photo were found to fit the size and pattern of small ripples, rather than the large waves photographed up close. So, in a nutshell, this was probably the first case of Photoshop long before Photoshop came to exist. So however that person did it, they were like, what am I doing? And there's zooming in on the photo, and they cropped it, and they're probably like, I don't know how I'm doing this. But obviously they didn't do it through a phone or a computer or a tablet because they didn't have those back then. So, take your best shot at photoshopping with a real photo, which apparently is the thing because, yeah. Analysis of the original image fostered further doubt In 1993, the makers of the Discovery Communications documentary Loch Ness Discovered analyzed the uncropped image and found a white object visible in every version of the photo, implying that it was on the negative. It was believed to be the cause of the ripples, as if the object was being towed, although the possibility of a blemish on the negative could not be ruled out. An analysis of the full photograph indicated that the object was small, about 60 to 90 centimeters, 2 to 3 feet long. Since 1994, I didn't realize that it was back in the 90s they decided that it was a hoax. I've been seeing, I was let's say, I was 8 years old in 94. So I've gone almost half my life thinking that that photo was real, up until recently. Since 1994, most agree that the photo was an elaborate hoax. It has been described as a fake in December 7th, 1975 Sunday Telegraph article that fell into obscurity. Details of how the photo was taken were published in the 1999 book Nessie, The Surgeon's Photograph, which contains a facsimile of the 1970. Okay. Sperling admitted that the photograph was a hoax in January 1991. Wetherell had been publicly ridiculed by his employer, the Daily Mail, after he found Nessie footprints that turned out to be a hoax. To get revenge on the Mail, Wetherell perpetuated his hoax with co-conspirators Sperling, Ian Wetherell, his son, and Maurice Chambers, an insurance agent. The toy submarine was bought from F.W. Woolworth, and its head and neck were made from wood putty. Oh, I remember hearing about this. They made a fake Loch Ness monster. After testing it in a local pond, group went to Loch Ness, where Ian Wetherell took photos near the Elsay tea house. Yeah, so they put this fake Loch Ness monster out there, and people thought it was real. I think it's actually in the bottom of the lake now. Little is known of the second photo. It is often ignored by researchers who believe its quality too poor and its differences from the first photo too great to warrant analysis. It shows a head similar to the first photo, with a more turbulent wave pattern, and possibly taken a different time to locate in the loch. Roy McCall and Maurice Burton considered a picture of a diving bird or otter that Wilson mistook for the monster. Again, a bird and an otter are two completely different things. It doesn't make sense. According to Morrison. Who's Morrison? I don't know who Morrison is. They don't mention this, but okay. According to Morrison, when the plates were developed, Wilson was uninterested in the second photo. He allowed Morrison to keep the negative, and the photo was rediscovered years later. When asked about the second photo by Ness Information Service newsletter, Sperling was vague, thought it might have been a piece of wood they were trying out as a monster, but was not sure. On May 29, 1938, South African tourist G.E. Taylor filmed something in the loch for 3 minutes on 16mm color film. The film was obtained by popular science writer Maurice Burton, third time Maurice Burton's come up, who did not show it to other researchers. A single frame was published in his 1961 book, The Elusive Monster. His analysis concluded it was a floating object, not an animal. Then there's another one in 1938. Sonar readings. In December 1954, sonar readings were taken by the fishing boat Rival 3. Its crew noted a large object keeping pace with the vessel at a depth of 146 meters, 479 feet. It was detected for 8 meters, 2,600 feet, before contact was lost and regained. Previous sonar attempts were inconclusive or negative. Peter McNabb saw it in 1955. Disdale film 1960. Again, these are just Loch Ness Muppet. Okay, we gotta read this one. On May 21st, 1977, Anthony Doc Shields, camping next to an Urquhart castle, took some of the clearest pictures of the monster until this day. Did he, though? Shields, a magician, claimed to have some. Oh, well, he's a magician. I mean, come on. I think that kind of just ends it right there. Claimed to have summoned the animal out of the water. Sure, he did. He later described it as an elephant squid. You know what? I would buy an elephant. I buy the elephant squid more than I'd buy an otter story. I don't know what the hell an elephant squid would look like, but gosh darn it, if it looks like we think Loch Ness Monster is, it's a better depiction than a freaking otter. Claiming the long neck shown in the photograph is actually the squid's trunk, and that a white spot at the base of the neck is its eye. Due to the lack of ripples, it has been declared a hoax by a number of people and received its name because of its staged look. Holmes Video 2007. Wow, we're jumping. A guy just, he showed a video. They think it was an otter, seal, or water bird, of course, because, okay, water bird. Oh, that's a little better. I don't know what the freak a water bird would be, but again, are we talking a swan, a crane, a flamingo? Like, at this point, why not? Hold on a second. My apologies. So sorry, my refrigerator was making a really weird sound. Like, oh, it was running. I better go catch it. Yeah. Sonar image, another photograph. Plenty of sightings here. So we're pretty much done with the photos, right? Let's get to the nitty gritty here. It's almost 7:30. Explanations. So, what do we think the Loch Ness monster is? Okay, like is it a dinosaur? Is it a sea creature? Obviously, it's a sea creature, but what type of sea creature is it? It's not a freaking otter. Let me just go on record and say it's not an otter. It's not. I don't understand how, from what we think we know as the Loch Ness monster, how people can be like, oh, he just saw an otter. Otters don't look like that. It could be a water bird. Again, swan, crane, flamingo would be the craziest thing in the world. Driftwood? I mean, what? Some wood when it gets wet tends to bend, I suppose. But again, that's really fetchy. Now, if you take the picture from a distance, like the infamous hoaxed photo, it could be, yeah, could be wood. Because if you're taking it from a long distance, you can be like, hey, that looks like a piece of wood. But let's get to the explanation, shall we? All right. A number of explanations have been suggested to the account of sightings of the creature. According to Ronald Binns again, a former member of the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau. The Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau. Remember the FBI? No, I'm a member of the LNPIB. The hell is that? Oh, that's the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau. What do you investigate? The Loch Ness Monster. There is probably no single explanation of the monster. Binge wrote two skeptical books: the 1983 Loch Ness Mystery Solved, The Loch Ness Mystery Solved, and his 2017 The Loch Ness Mystery Reloaded. How are you gonna wait like 20 plus years to write a book? Wow. I hope he wrote other books in between. In these, he contends that an aspect of human psychology is the ability of the eye to see what it wants, and expects to see. Oh. So he's saying that the people who claim to have seen the Loch Ness Monster is that it's psychological. Okay. They may be categorized as misidentifications of known animals, misidentifications of inanimate objects or effects, reinterpretations of Scottish folklore, hoaxes, and exotic species of large animals. Okay, I like the last one, but I'm going to need clarification on exotic species of large animals. So, what are we talking? Well, obviously, we're talking sea creatures, giant tortoises, swans, flamingos, cranes, unidentified birds, possible fish. Maybe it's that creepy fish in Finding Nemo. You know which one I'm talking about. When Dory goes out into the dark and she sees that light, and it's that fish with that thing. Whatever that thing is, if that thing exists, that could be Loch Ness. Why not? It's better than a freaking otter. God, whoever came up with the otter theory, shame on you. All right, where did I leave off here? Damn it. Okay. A reviewer wrote that Binns had evolved into the author of the definitive skeptical book on the subject. Binns does not call the sightings a hoax, but a myth in the true sense of the term, and states that the monster is a sociological phenomenon. After the 1983 The Search, possibly that there might be continued to enthrall a small number of whom eyewitness blah. After the 1933 The Search, possibility that there just might be continues to enthrall a small number of whom eyewitnesses' evidence outweighs all other considerations. I have no idea what I just said. That's just the way it's written. Misidentification of known animals. Eels! Again, eels are like otters. I mean, how big of an eel are we talking? Like anaconda eels? Or a large European eel was an early suggestion of the monster. Eels are found in Loch Ness, and an unusually large one would explain many sightings. Okay, that's what we mean by exotically large animal. A large ass European seal. Okay, I can buy that. Dinsdale. There's Dinsdale again. The thing I love about this one, the article on the Loch Ness Monster, the same people's names are coming up. Dinsdale dismissed the hypothesis because eels undulate side to side like snakes. Sightings in 1856 of a sea serpent or kelpie in a freshwater lake near Leobost in the Outer Hebrides were explained as those of an oversized eel, also believed common in Highland lakes. Their reports confirm that European eels are still found in the loch. No DNA samples were found for large animals such as catfish, Greenland sharks, or plesiosaurs. Many scientists now believe that giant eels account for many, if not most, of the sightings. Count me in. Elephant. In 1979, a California biologist, Dennis Power, and geographer Donald Johnson claimed that the surgeon's photograph was the top of the head, extended trunk, and flared nostrils of a swimming elephant photographed elsewhere. I'll read this till the end, and then let me call bullshit and explain why. And claimed it to be from Loch Ness. In 2006, paleontologist and artist Neil Clark suggested that traveling circuses might have allowed elephants to bathe in the loch. The trunk could be perceived head and neck, with the head and back perceived humps. In support of this, Clark provided an example painting. Okay, let me click and see this photo before I call bullshit. Because we're talking about the surgeon's photograph. And nothing's coming up. It's not bad, you guys. It's really not that bad. Hold on. You can't really, again, you can't really, yeah, you can sort of see it. See it? See it? See how it could possibly be an elephant? I was going to call bullshit on it, but then I was like, you know what? After I saw the photo, it could be an elephant, as crazy as that seems. Okay. Greenland shark. Greenland shark. Do, 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 do. Greenland shark. Zoologist and angler and television presenter Jeremy Wade investigated the creature in 2013 as a part of the series River Monsters. A Greenland shark can reach up to 20 feet in length. It is dark in color with a small dorsal fin. Wells catfish. Other resident animals. It is difficult to judge the size of an object in the water through a telescope or binocular with no external reference. I would imagine so. Loch Ness has resident otters and photos of them and deer swimming in the loch, which were cited by author Ronald Binns, may have been misinterpreted. Hold on. Loch Ness has resident otters and photos of them and deer swimming in the Loch Ness, which were cited by author Ronald Binns, may have been misinterpreted. According to Binns, birds may be mistaken for a head and neck sighting. But eels and elephants, I will 100% buy. An otter, unless an otter and a deer are both in the water at the same damn time, and they're kind of close to each other, which would be kind of weird, but at this point, if that would explain it. Misidentification of inanimate objects or effects. Boat wakes. Wakes have been reported when the loch is calm with no boats nearby. Bartender David Monroe reported a wake he believed was a creature zigzagging. Trees. This queerly shaped tree trunk washed ashore at Foyers on Loch Ness. It is thought to be responsible for a reported appearance of a monster. Seiches and wakes, I don't even know what these are. A seich is a large oscillation of a lake, caused by a water reverting to its natural level after being blown to one end of the lake. So they're saying it's water? No, stop. That's stupid. Optical effects. Wind conditions can give a choppy, matte appearance to the water with calm patches. No, stop. Seismic gas. What are we doing? After you tell me eel and elephant, and you show me a picture of the fucking elephant, I'm convinced. Like, sorry. That was damn good convincing evidence. Seismic gas. The Loch Ness is along with a Great Glen Fault, and this could be a description of an earthquake. Many reports consist of a large disturbance on the surface of the water. This could be release of a gas through the fault, although it may be mistaken for something swimming below the surface. But if you can see something solid in the water, it's obviously not seismic gas, so that doesn't make sense. Sorry, it doesn't make sense. Folklore. Here we are. In 1980, Swedish naturalist and author Benjit Sjögren wrote that the present belief in lake monsters such as the Loch Ness Monster are associated with Kelpie legends. According to Sjögren, accounts of Loch Ness monsters have changed over time, describing horse-like creatures that were intended to keep children away from the loch. Sjögren, that's his name. What a cool name. wrote that the Kelpie legends have developed into descriptions reflecting a modern awareness of plesiosaurs. A Kelpie as a waterhorse in Loch Ness was mentioned in the 1879 Scottish newspaper and inspired Tim Dinsdale's, is Dinsdale again, Project Waterhorse. That's a cool name. Project Waterhorse. A study of pre-1933 Highland folklore references to Kelpies, water horses, and water bulls. Water bulls. That sounds even cooler. Indicated that Ness was the Loch's most frequently cited. Hoaxes. There have been a lot of hoaxes, like the people I told you about that they built one. So of course a lot of people are going to build one. Basically, we think a Loch Ness monster looks like, if you know what if you're familiar with your Pokemon, your original 151, Lapras. To me, that's what a Loch Ness monster would look like. All right. What do we think? First of all, do you think the Loch Ness monster exists? Do I think it exists? Yes and no. Let me explain. I don't think it's a giant dinosaur. Because obviously, if it's in this, Loch Ness is like it's not a big ass lake, you know what I mean? So one giant creature throughout hundreds of years to live in it would make no sense. One thing I think it could possibly be that wasn't even mentioned in that article, an unknown species of creature in the water. There are things in the water. There are so many undiscovered things in the water that we have no idea about. None, including USOs, which I should do a video on sometime. So I think it could possibly be an undiscovered species of animal that we have yet to discover. Also, eels, giant, large European eels. That 100% got me. And also, elephants. Who'd have thought? I never thought I'd go on record and say that. I think the Loch Ness Monster photos could be evidence of an elephant under the water. But after they showed that shit, I can't deny it. The humps are right at the right spots. And then the trunk, it's gold. Especially if you zoom it away and then you take a photo, kind of like the photo we know, boom. So I think it's eels, large eels, elephants, or some undiscovered species of animal in the water that we don't know about. Either the Finding Nemo light thingy or Lapras from Pokemon, whichever you want to pick. But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is I think if it does exist, it would be the species of creature that we don't know about. But I'm also going on record saying that it's been misinterpreted in that there is no Loch Ness monster and that it's either a giant ass eel or an elephant, which I never thought I would say, but after seeing that photo, I'm just so goddamn convinced. But yeah, I don't think it was a freaking otter and it wasn't seismic gas. Get out of here with that crap. What do you think? You won't tell me. You won't drop it in the comments. Maybe you will. You know what? People on YouTube, people that watch this on YouTube, comment. Don't comment how crappy the video is, okay? Don't tell me I'm full of too much energy. Do you think Loch Ness Monster exists? And if so, or if you don't, what do you think it is? Based off of all the evidence that we just heard. People on Facebook, my friends on Facebook, do you think Nessie exists? Put it in the comments. What do you think it is? People on Instagram, hi. Drop me a DM. Go in the comments. What do you think about the Loch Ness Monster? Do you think it's real? Let's get some conversation stirring up, shall we? I do hope you enjoyed the last episode for this season of Mystery Unsolved, the Loch Ness Monster. And do stay tuned for next season's episode, which might be happening next Friday. I don't really know yet. We shall see, and we'll have plenty of more cases to go over. For Mystery Unsolved. Till next time.